Heyo, it's Deep Convos. We're your hosts, Meg and Fran. Welcome back to our podcast. We're so happy to have you. It is episode 11. And yeah, it's just crazy. We're past the episode 10 mark, which seems like a big deal for our little project here. Right?
Ooh. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is a big deal. I care.
I care too. It's like a hashtag. I care.
Hashtag I care. Yay. Yeah, Meg's back. Yay. It's not
Yay.
just me. So
So sad.
I won't get bored with myself. So today's gonna be a special episode because I didn't outline anything. So
Totally improv today, guys.
totally improv, except for we're going off of a quote unquote prompt. But before we go into that, we're gonna go into like how, or you know what, you can go into how your week was, or like a highlight in your life that you're like, oh my god, like this is so great, or like this is like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like some weeks we can alternate between how our weeks were and then just like a general highlight. Or this is something I love to do in the classroom, like with little kids, is I call it glow and grow. Like, what is one glow? Something awesome. And then what is one grow? I don't like to call it like something bad because I feel like you can always learn from it. We can do glows and grows.
Hashtag glow and grow.
Okay. You want to do a glow and a grow?
Yeah. You go first though. So then
okay.
I get the template.
All right. So, and this is just from the past week, right?
Yeah, or like past month. I mean, I don't know, whatever you
want.
Matters.
Okay, let's just do the past week. Okay. So a glow from the past week is I took Friday off, which was amazing. I mean, I need to do it more often and I deserve more. But it was just nice to have a like truly sacred 3-day weekend where I didn't check my work email once. And I had like things I wanted to do in my productive to-do list. You know how like, I think we talked about this before, like you have a day that's supposed to be free, but then you end up doing like all your errands and stuff. I mean, I did some of that, but if I didn't get to everything on my list, I didn't feel pressure about it. I was like, okay, I didn't get to it today. And there's still a lot of stuff that I didn't get to do in my productive to-do list, but I'm totally calm with it and I feel fine with it. And if I get to it today, great. If I don't, great. So it was just a nice weekend of just putting myself first and then putting that productive stuff like on the side. And I feel like we all need to do that more. So that's my glow. For my grow, gosh, there's like a lot. For my grow, I mean, I'm not going to go into details, but it's been kind of a heavy, like emotional past couple weeks in terms of my mental health. And of course, I'm taking the steps to take care of it. And that's part of why I wanted like this 3-day weekend for myself. But I am like searching for a therapist right now just because I feel like it's something that I really need in my life for a bunch of reasons. And it's been really hard to find one. But I'm going to keep trying and hopefully that is something I can like integrate into my routine soon, just to have like, I mean, I love talking to you, but you know, like just an external, like third party professional to help me with my.
That's the keyword.
Yeah, a prof.
Professional. Yeah, prof.
Not a prof, a prof.
Yeah, not a prof.
Just to differentiate the abbreviations. Okay, well that's my glow and grow.
I think we should keep glow and grow, like the glow and grow segment.
It keeps things concise, you know?
Yeah, and it is like kind of like how our week was. Because it's like the confines of the week. I'm sorry, I can't stop staring at how gross my hair is right now. Like,
I mean, I haven't showered in like 2 days, so.
Really?
That's why today's my gym day.
Ew, look at this. It's like straw, wet straw. Okay, glow. I think it's like similar to yours in that I also had Friday off and
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had Friday off. And so okay, no, I lied. So Friday I had off, but then I did productive stuff. But then Saturday, because I did all the productive stuff on Friday, Saturday, a day which I usually do like my productive non-work stuff. I barely did anything. Like I had like a call with some actor friends for like our monologue meetup, but that was like 2 hours. And then after that, I like took another nap because I was hungover. But then like I didn't really have anything pressing that day. I could have done some shit if I really was like, oh, I gotta finish everything today, but I didn't have anything I needed to finish that day. So I just like took it easy. I like took a nap. And then I like watched multiple things. Like I never do that. I watched multiple things that are like fun. And then I took a walk outside and like read on a bench for a while. Like just like very much like chill. And usually if I did that, like I would feel guilty, but I didn't feel guilty. I just felt nice. Bought a nice coffee, like splurged. And yeah, and then I had a call with you. That was another glow. Like we caught up on, you know, both serious and non-serious things. So that was nice. Yeah, yesterday was nice. But not the hungover part, but the other stuff. And no one smirk. And
Wait, have you tried my trick before about how like the night before you take an Advil or you take a painkiller before you go to sleep?
I've done that before. I didn't do it last night because I was like, I'm not drunk. But I was drunk. I really was drunk because like if you think about it, all I had that night besides alcohol was chocolate and marshmallows. So I was drunk. And graham crackers. Anywho, and like a scoop of hummus. Like because my friend last minute she was like, oh, I found this hummus so you can eat the crackers now. I was like, oh, thanks. I just stuffed my face with like 4 s'mores, and like a shitload of wine and tequila. But yeah, I'll eat some hummus.
Ooh, I've never mixed wine and tequila before.
Oh, ew, we didn't drink it together. Gross.
Oh, okay. I thought you made like a cocktail.
Ew. Actually,
Like,
I don't know.
ew.
I'm sure in some way of combination it would work. Oh, and I had a cigarette too. See, like it was a concoction that was not gonna bode well, but I was just like, I got home, I was like, I'm not drunk.
A nice melange of things.
Melange of my body was just like,
melange of vices.
it was a melange of vices. The next day my body was like, yeah, fuck
sounds
you.
like the title of a romance novel. Those shitty paperback ones from like the 80s.
Melange of vices. And the cover is like
this like really like ripped dude with like long hair.
And a woman's just like, like her hands are over his torso, like, you know?
Exactly.
But it's like horrible because like, well, how come the woman's not the one like up here and then the guy's like on
because he's
torso?
dominating her.
Yeah, well, I would totally read a romance novel where the woman is the one like this and then the guy's hands are on her torso. Like,
I mean, down. I'm sure there's something like that where the woman is the dom.
Yeah, where?
I don't know. I just gotta look for it. There's a niche for everything.
Yeah, okay. This is taking too long.
By the way, FYI, there's a new like variation of 50 Shades of Grey that's on Netflix. It's like one of the top watch movies. It's called 365.
Ew.
Mo and I actually watched it.
Ew.
It was hilarious.
Is it better than
I highly recommend it if you want some laughs.
Is it worse than Twilight?
I feel like they're all on the same fucking level.
Oh, okay.
All the same story with just different characters and different disguises.
This reminds me of like, I'm gonna share it in the What We're Loving this week, which I'll talk about.
Okay, that's like a past what I loved because it was just so fucking hilarious.
I that's not what I loved. I'm saying it's related to that. But anyway, so my grow is I guess oh my god, I'm gonna edit this whole thing out. This long pause. I'm gonna edit this out. So my grow, I guess, is just get more. Just like the glow. It's related to my glow in the sense that, you know, I got a taste of what it would be like to actually spend one day not doing anything. So like actually keep doing it. And the other thing is that this past week, I mean, people who listen to the past 2 episodes know that I just went through through like a mini depression spiral. But my therapist gave me some tips on how to like manage it, and it helped. So just keep practicing that and investigating it. I guess that's two grows, but they're kind of related. Like if you do self-care, it'll decrease the the odds of that happening. Oh, that pause that I took and the before it, I just gotta go. Okay, so that's that. And now we're gonna move on. You're on mute, so
Yeah, I know, because I was chewing a bunch of granola and I just didn't want everyone to hear that.
Is that all you were going to say?
Now I'm gonna transition to her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now we're gonna transition. Who says that? Why do we go now we're gonna transition? Just transition.
Because we're really bad at transitioning. So it's what makes our podcast unique. I mean, no one else in the market does this.
Says now we're gonna transition.
Yeah, that's what
into the Okay, so today we're going to talk about self-gaslighting. And my friend, shout out Morgan, she sent me this Instagram post. We're gonna put a link in the description. But it's about self-gaslighting. And it's like a post, like an Instagram post with like the multiple pages. So it's called, "Are you gaslighting yourself? Here are signs and how to unlearn it." So we're just going to go bit by bit through the post and kind of talk about it. And we're going to take a break in the middle. So first, let's talk about the definition of gaslighting. In general, gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse and manipulation that causes the victim to question their own reality. I mean, I can just think of an example off the top of my head. Like if you're like a woman going through like some sort of sexual harassment at work, and that gaslighting could be like, "Oh, but like maybe you did something and then like you probably like did something that invited him to do that to you." And then you would be like, "Oh no, did I do that? Oh, is it my fault that he did sexually harass me?" Like that sort of like questioning of yourself because someone's making you question your own reality. Instead of trusting your own gut, that's gaslighting. And here are signs that you have been a victim of gaslighting. Feel free to stop me if like anything rings a bell with you, but here are some signs. Asking or wondering if other people think you are lying about your struggles, minimizing your own problems, putting others before you until it is debilitating, apologizing often, constantly being worried of being wrong, and heightened anxiety and or insecurity.
Yeah, I had a past relationship that had all those signs. Thankfully, I got out of it quickly. But also in general, I feel like, and I talked about this before and all the times I mentioned my alcoholism, but in my early 20s, just the kind of person that I was just more susceptible to that kind of energy from other people. I really believe in energy, and like how your spiritual state is what you attract from the universe. You know what I mean? And just the kind of person that I was attracting a lot of that kind of energy. And I was accepting it because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing in my early 20s. So it was a lot of like people pleasing, a lot of like what other people said and did mattered more than than me. Basically, it's like everyone else like is on a higher pedestal than you. You were like the least important thing. And I had to keep it that way because making other people happy meant validation for me. Like if they were happy because I was making them happy, then that meant I was valuable, basically. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then that like really manifested in that one particular relationship, which I will just call him Jay.
Yeah, people probably remember Jay because he talked about him before.
Oh, have I? Okay. Yeah. Well, Jay, it's just the worst. Like, it's just like, I remember like one time I had my friend in my dorm room who was like so obviously gay. There's no question about it. And it was like 2 a.m. and my Jay called me on video chat, and then he was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm like just hanging out with my friend." And he was like, "Why are you like with your friend at 2 a.m. like wearing those short shorts? And like, are you like, you're always cheating on me? Like you're always going." And I'm like, he's gay. And
Yeah.
like we always hang out. And then even my friend was like, yeah, I'm totally gay. Like I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
And he just went on and on about how like I was this horrible person and I was always doing this. So like that's another thing is he would take one instance and like blow it up and then make me kind of rethink about all of these other instances that to me were totally fine. You know, so that's like a very isolated example, but it's like, yeah, the questioning your own sanity. And it's always like my opinion, even though all objective facts prove otherwise, get thrown out the window for this other person's opinion or for this other person or whatever, you know?
Yeah. It's like your own reality was fine until this person questions it. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And
It's
like I
not
said, even if
me.
there are objective scientific facts,
Yeah.
right? You still value what that person's opinion is more than those facts because, and then
Mhm.
that's where you feel like you're crazy because it's like, well, the facts say this, but
Yeah.
this person says this, and maybe they're right.
Right. Instead of going like, but why would I think why are they more right than I am? Like I'm the one who went through it, you know?
Yeah.
Like yeah. I mean, I don't think this is gaslighting, but something that came into my head is like I remember talking to like a couple guy friends in the past about like I think now it's different because everyone's like woke. I hate that word, but everyone's a little bit more woke these days. But maybe like 3-4 years ago, I would have conversations with my guy friends about like what women go through like out on these streets, like cat calling and like people telling me like, oh, smile, why don't you just smile, and um like so some people just like asking me out on the street, and it's like it doesn't feel good because it feels like they're kind of claiming your own space. You can't even like claim your own space when you're walking out there because they're going to get in it and comment on your face, on your body, like on your smile. So I was talking to like multiple people about this like different times, but like a common refrain would be like um but why is that a bad thing? Like I would do anything to be like I mean I wouldn't say no. Like if a woman like asked me out on while I'm walking on the street, like it's great. I would be flattered. Like or like um they would be like maybe they did care about, like maybe they thought you were having a bad day and they cared about you, like, you know, wanting to smile. Like maybe you just looked like you were having a bad day. Like I don't get how that's so bad. Like I would get that refrain. And I now if someone told that to me, I would be like, that's that's bullshit. That's like I think I know what I'm feeling. Like I think I know that um it feels really invasive when people do this to me. Like it feels really disgusting. But back then I felt the same way too that I do now, but an initial thought of like, oh yeah, why am I complaining about it? Like that is nice that they're saying smile or like beautiful, hey beautiful. Like why am I complaining about someone saying I'm beautiful? Like I would get that initial thought and then I would be like, but no, I don't like it. But so I think it's not fully gaslighting, but it's like they don't even mean to gaslight, or I don't think they meant to. But that's like something women go through, I think, a little bit more than men, is like people just question what we think, like our opinions aren't as valid as like, or like we're making mountains out of molehills. I don't know. So that's what occurred to
Yeah,
me.
I think that's an interesting, I don't know, theory is that women go through it more. And I feel like there's some truth to that just because there are more pressures on women in general that society puts on us and just all the different roles that we take, you know, like
Yeah.
our careers. That's a whole other story for us versus men. Like how we move through our careers and how we handle ourselves in the workspace is totally different than what men go through. It's a whole other
Yeah.
challenge. As mothers, right? Like having to choose between the mother role and like the worker role. That's a completely different like challenge for us. You know, just all the different roles that we take, like caregiver, nurturer, all of these like maternal feminine things, I feel like there's just not that much. I mean, I'm not disregarding men, but it's just like I feel like we go through a very unique set of pressures and just such a wide variety that we are more susceptible to like that blame, that
Yeah.
gaslighting, kind of like that walking on eggshells. Like no matter what I do, I'm always like questioning like myself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I think it's because like, well, one of the reasons is like men, especially white men, are at the top. Like it's not like intrinsically their fault. It's just that's how our system is built. There's like white men and then white women and then like straight white men, like it's like a ladder. It's like you go down. And anytime someone at the top is quote unquote threatened by someone on a lower rung, trying to achieve the same level, like ultimately there are people at the top that are gonna be threatened and they're gonna be like, we gotta bring them back down because like we want to retain this upper control. It's like the Black Lives Matter movement, like because it's like they're asking just to be for equity. There are always going to be people who are white who are going to be like, that's not true, it's everything's equal, you guys are just complaining. That's ultimately it's because they're threatened because like the status quo is that white people are they are at the top. Like there's just that's how our system is. It's not one person's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with women. It's like we've always been under men. So anytime we try to like achieve equity, there's always going to be a threat there for us. And I think gaslighting is just like a symptom of that.
Right.
And that it's not just men doing it, it's women doing it because we're raised in the same system. So we're going to also question ourselves. It's again, same with race too. Like we are racist against ourselves sometimes. Like I have racist thoughts against myself, like against Asians, like it's because it's a system that we've been raised in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about gaslighting in the light of all these other factors. And then when you mentioned the Black Lives Matter movement, I immediately thought about gaslighting in the form of protest, how like it's like we tell them, oh, if you kneel at a football game, that's disrespectful to the flag. And then but if they go on and riot in the streets, oh, that's also disrespectful. So it's like such a confusing message.
Exactly.
Then how are they supposed to yeah, exactly. So it's this kind of like feeling of being backed into a corner and having no options, and then that's where that feeling of insanity comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all related.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. You actually started mentioning it, but self-gaslighting, here's what it sounds like. Actually, you can read it because I'm burpy right now, so you can.
I mean, I also just ate, so.
Okay, well, if you burp, who cares?
Just edit it out or play some music over it.
Ew.
Okay, so it's self-gaslighting. And then again, we have the picture linked in the description if you guys want to read along. Self-gaslighting sounds like I am being too dramatic / sensitive / emotional. I am not sick enough to be diagnosed with XYZ. Other people have it worse than me, so I shouldn't feel upset. There must be something wrong with me. Normal people's minds don't work like this. Am I making this up? This is all my fault and I am to blame. I know they love me and didn't mean it like that, so I shouldn't be hurt. I relate to every single one of these.
Me too. Too. Especially I know they love me and didn't mean it like that, so I shouldn't be hurt. It's like that's a common thing, especially with women, I think. But us, I think we have this conversation. We've had this conversation where it's like, I'm feeling this way, but like I shouldn't feel this way because like they just mean well. They mean well. Like, why do I feel this way? Ugh. Like, stop.
It's like immediately suppressing or invalidating our own feelings, like not even giving them the space to be, like even to just be for a second. As soon as those feelings comes up, we immediately clamp them down, like, oh no, it should, like, and it's just such a shitty way to live. And I feel like that's what we talked about a lot yesterday in our own personal conversation, is just giving ourselves more space to even Because like what's the harm? No, it's not like anyone's hearing our feelings. Like why can't even we give them the space and hear them out for ourselves? You know? The fact that we just immediately automatically just turn them off is such a disrespect to ourselves as people.
I agree. I think the am I making this up is really huge too, because it's like, because sometimes I do think that it's like, why am I reacting so hugely to why am I reacting disproportionately to what just happened? And in some ways, like, you know, I'm working on this with my therapist, where like there are a couple little things that my roommates do, and sometimes I react so strongly, like so angrily, to the point where I'm just like, fuck, like why can't I just stop? In reaction to like a little thing, like someone used the microwave and didn't put it back to clear. I don't know. And you know, she was working on this exercise with me called what is it called? It's basically a worksheet where you put the emotion you feel, and then you like state the facts of what happened, and then you state like what you state like the worst I'm simplifying it, like what the worst possible outcome would be, like what's my greatest fear about it, like that I'm feeling angry, like what's my greatest fear that I'm reacting that way. And then at the end of that whole long worksheet, asking myself like, is your feeling proportionate to the actual facts of the situation? That doesn't necessarily mean that I made it up. Like there was a reason my body was reacting to that. Like sometimes things come up where especially in the what do you fear that what are your fears of what would come out of the situation? Like other things would come up, like maybe, you know, one of my roommates and I had an argument last week, and that's why I was so angry about this little thing that they did this week. You know, like it's not something I made up. It's just something like maybe I buried and didn't process like before. So like nothing, like no emotion that we feel just comes out of nowhere. Like they're either proportionate or maybe they're disproportionate, but they're pointing to something that we've, you know, experienced and never just processed. So like I think, but that's the big thing I think with us is like, oh, like why do I feel so hugely in relation to like this trivial thing? I must be crazy. And
That's interesting you bring that up, because I'm reading a book right now about how everything that comes to physical manifestation always arises from something internal. Like everything that's before us right now, everything, like even like physical, like you can even break it down to like my phone or like this table, but also just like our physical reality, all of that didn't come from nothing. It all originated from somewhere, from internal, whether it be like thoughts or feelings or whatever. So like I totally agree with that, and that just goes back, and I think it relates to the first statement in this picture where it says I'm being too dramatic, sensitive, emotional. That just also goes for like being a woman, and like this ties back to our previous episodes of like our menstrual cycles and how just our hormonal systems are so completely different from men's, you know. And so it's all of those factors, like what you said, like our, you know, our previous experiences and thoughts that may be influencing the current situation, or just us being women, like biologically, like our hormones constantly being in flux. Yeah, I like experienced that first one, like I'm being too dramatic, sensitive, emotional all the time. And I hate how I'm not honoring that, because it's not my fault. And the more that I'm like stepping back from my feelings and looking at them objectively, and kind of like what we were talking about yesterday, like treating them with a compassion instead of rejecting them, and kind of investigating further where they're coming from. And after that investigation, I usually find out that this is totally valid, you know? Like I can think of so many instances, like when I was having a mental breakdown with my first sponsor in AA, and I was like crying, like bawling about something that was so silly, like oh, like my friend has this and I don't. And then she didn't even, her only follow-up question after me bawling for 30 minutes was, are you about to have your period? That was her only follow-up question. And I was like, aren't you listening to anything I'm saying? And she's like, just answer the question. I'm like, yeah, my period's going to start tomorrow. And she's like, there you go. You know, so it's like, it could be hormones, you know, like it's just, we don't, especially women. I mean, of course, like I'm sure men go through this too, but I feel like we, especially as women, need to be just honor ourselves more and give ourselves more space to, yeah, so what if I'm being dramatic? Like I deserve to be, you know? Like
Yeah, I think we talked about this yesterday too. It's like we should have just recorded our conversation yesterday. But like we talked about like holding space and how that's like a thing that, I mean, I'm working on that right now personally, but I think a lot of women are working on trying to hold space for everything happening inside of them. Like it's okay to be like, to honor that, like you said, like if you're being real, if you're feeling really emotional about something and you just want to scream, like hold space for it. And I think it goes back to society. It's like we just have this thing where emotions are just not looked at as a strength. It's looked at as a weakness. I mean, it's changing, right? Like work cultures, some corporate cultures are like, you know, emotional intelligence is like valuable and we need more women at the top because they're more in touch with like their emotional intelligence, blah blah blah. But it's still like taboo to be like, to cry. I don't know, at work I like, it's taboo to cry. For example, if you're like really stressed, it's like, oh no, better like run to the bathroom because like people are gonna look at you as like you can't handle the job. Like I can cry and still do my work. Like I what does that have to do with my skill set?
right.
But it's just looked at as a weakness, and I think that's another reason we're so hard on ourselves, is because again we've just been raised in a system like that. There's just basically the bottom line is there's just so much shit. There's so much stuff wrong with how we're in the world we live in. So,
And with the workplace culture specifically, I feel like, and especially in America, we're just a very product driven society. We just want results, 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 products, 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 and emotion and anything like that is like just something that's slowing down the process of what should be like bigger, better, faster, you know?
but if you
So
think
I,
about that, like if products are so important, like it should be the quality of the product. It's like the difference between buying a Forever 21 shirt that's like $5 and then like a really nice, what's a nice shirt? See, I don't even go to those places.
Gucci,
No, like a good quality. Okay, I guess Gucci's.
Zara.
You know what I mean though? It's more expensive. It's like 3 times more expensive, but it's gonna last you longer because like the same thing with emotional intelligence at work. It's like because you've valued people's mental well-being, the product that they create is going to be better. Maybe it's less, the turnaround whatever is longer, but you're going to get a product that people are happiest with.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's just my current work situation, also just my work situation in Korea, where it was a very results oriented culture in Korea. That's been like my latest experiences with work up to date. So I'm kind of like finding like what you're saying to be very far away, and I really miss that kind of culture. Like I miss working somewhere where they do value people's mental health and whatnot.
No, I know what you're saying. I'm just saying it's so weird to me that they would be like, we value results, but like I I value results, but the results I value are good, like the quality, not the
Right.
quantity. Like I think they should just reevaluate like what results they're prioritizing.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want 10 million of a shitty Forever 21 shirt. You know what I mean? Like
I think I'm wearing a Forever 21 shirt actually.
yeah, but how long is that going to last you?
It's actually lasted me
It
2
makes
years.
you okay. You know what I mean? Like not even Forever 21, like Wet Seal. Who
I used
like
to work at Wet
I
Seal.
know. So now you know what I'm talking about, the quality. Like it makes you happy for like a month and then it gets a hole in it after like 3 washes and you're like, the fuck this, you know?
The fuck this.
It's the same thing. Like people just need to reevaluate what their, I don't know what product means to them.
Yeah.
We're getting carried away. The okay, let me read this next thing. Are these familiar to you? If so, we already talked about that, but yes, it is. If so, you are not alone. You most likely gaslight yourself because you have been a victim of gaslighting. It can be a direct result of struggling with quote unquote invisible illnesses like chronic pain, eating disorders, PTSD, anxiety, and many more. It may be a mode of survival for you. Take a deep breath and let's explore ways to work on unlearning self-gaslighting. Before we explore the ways, what's your reaction to that? Because you nodded.
Well, because it talked about illnesses specifically, whether it be physical or emotional. And you guys know, like, I struggled with addiction and I also struggled with an eating disorder. A lot of like gaslighting there, like to the point where it was so tempting to just leave my 12-step program because I'm like, oh, I'm not like that guy sitting across the room who drinks like a bottle of whiskey every day and lived under a bridge. I was never like that guy. Or even met someone who went to prison for murder. I'm like, well, I never murdered anyone, so I could never be like, so I'm not an alcoholic. I would like devalue myself and my own unique experiences. And then more recently with my loss, like losing my baby, I still compare myself to other people. I'm like, oh, well, my loss wasn't as bad as that person's. Or, you know, like my baby was only like 6 months. Like, so it doesn't really matter as much as this other person. Like, and I'm just like, why is that my automatic instinct is to just devalue what I'm feeling always, no matter what it is in my life, no matter what it
I
manifests
agree.
as.
It's because it's saying it's a motive. It may be a mode of survival. It's a way for
Yeah.
us to be like, if I minimize it, maybe I won't feel it as much. But as we also talked about yesterday, wow, we just talked a lot about things yesterday that
Like forecasted
I
this
should have
episode.
recorded it. As we talked about yesterday, minimizing is not going to make it go away. In fact, it's going to make it come up again in like a bigger way later on to maybe a point where it's detrimental to your health, to your well-being. So, but I get it. It's like we're trying to protect ourselves from the pain of it, you
Yeah, that
know?
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I also nodded internally at that sentence because like especially the anxiety, because I talked about it in like the last extra episode. But so I was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, and one of the thoughts I would tell myself is like this sentence, there must be something wrong with me. Normal people's minds don't work like this. I literally thought that I was alone. I was like, what is the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this is not a normal thing, and you just need to like buck up, bucko, like just do life. Just do life. And then it wasn't like until 6 years later when I finally ran into an article, like a mental health article that was like 32% of Americans or something, like a figure, go through this, and here are the symptoms. And I was like, oh, this is normal, like normal, as in people go through this. And I was just gaslighting myself to not seek help because I was trying to minimize it and was like, just do it and it's gonna go away, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, totally relate. Do you have any, we're gonna take a break, but what are your last words before we move on?
Um, I'm just excited to see what the recommended strategies are, just because I feel like I've begun the work to unravel this way of thinking and this attitude, but it's still very much a constant presence in my life, you know? And like I said, coming up with all different kinds of situations, no matter what it may be, like with my relationships, with my mental issues, emotional issues, it always comes up like this automatic instinct. And the reason why it's automatic is because it's been ingrained and I've been doing it for so long. And to unravel something like that that's so ingrained is tough work. And it requires a lot of like self-awareness and self-investment. You know, so like if you're one of our listeners and you're interested in, if you're like relating to everything we're saying and you're interested in unraveling that, like just know it's gonna take work. It's gonna take investment. It's not something like, oh, I'm just gonna like listen to this podcast and like do an exercise and then I'm good. Like it's like a muscle. Like you have to really work at it, and it is like blood, sweat, and tears. So
Yeah, I agree. Like, not only self investment, self worth, but also because the common refrain in self gaslighting is other people's thoughts and feelings are more important than mine. Like it's going to require putting yourself first. It's going to require being like, I am the most important thing. And that's a huge muscle that needs to be worked on for a lot of women. Because I do that all the time. I'm like, just stop feeling shitty. Like they didn't mean it. Like calm down, you know, like that's
Right.
shit I tell myself. And the other thing that's going to need to happen too, I mean, we'll see after the break, but is you're going to also encounter not just self obstacles, because that's how, like you said, that's how we were raised and that's how that's society we grew up in. But the other thing you're going to encounter is like external obstacles, because other people still subscribe to this thinking. So you're going to also encounter that. So like just staying strong and it's going to require, you know, being made of Teflon almost. So people are like, what are you doing? Like, ew.
Right.
You're going to be like, working on myself.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like being mentally ready to encounter that and emotionally. Okay, we're going to take a break. In 3, 2,
Why are we counting down?
1. Okay, we're back from our breaks. So now we're gonna talk about ways to quote unquote unlearn self-gaslighting. So one of the suggestions from this person is self-affirming phrases to practice. So I'm gonna read through all of them and then we can talk about them as they strike you. Okay. My feelings and emotions are valid. I will never be too much. I will always be enough. I can still recognize that someone loves me while recognizing that they have hurt me. This is healthy and okay. Nothing is wrong with me. I do not have to compare struggles to invalidate my own.
Mm-hmm.
My feelings are real feelings. I deserve to be listened to. I am worthy of love. I deserve love. Yeah, I mean, all these like are like,
it's like a warm blanket.
How did your mic get louder in between the break?
Because I was like, and I'm like, it's like a warm blanket.
Oh, it's really loud, dude. What happened?
I'll try to talk softly.
But like, what did you change?
I didn't change nothing.
I think you changed something.
I didn't.
You need to hold it like this. No, like a little bit further. Oh. Hold it a little bit further away. Oh, God damn it. Okay.
Sorry, guys, for the technical issues.
Dude, don't. You know how to really apologize? Hold it a little further from your face. Ew. Okay, so I mean, all these really not ring true, but like are ringing bells in me. But I think what the biggest ones are
I just thought of Christmas when you said that.
I think the biggest ones are, I can still recognize that someone loves me while recognizing that they have hurt me. This is healthy and okay. Because like a lot of the time I think like, oh my God, this friend really hurt me and I feel really angry towards them. But is that feeling appropriate? Because like, I know that they care about me. Why am I feeling so angry? Like, I'm sure they just did that because they care about me. And it's like, it's okay. Like, people I love hurt me all the time. Like, I think it's like part of being in a relationship with someone is that it's not always going to be like la-di-da, you know, happy time.
La La Land.
Yes, that's also what I thought. It's not just going to be La La Land all the time. And so it's that one really.
It's not La La Land, it's Moonlight.
You held your mic closer to your mouth again. You need to go like this. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick here. Just.
Did you hear what I said? It's
yeah,
not
I heard it so loud and clear. Yeah, Moonlight.
That's how relationships are.
Oh, that movie. That one rung a bell. And the other one is, I mean, they all do, but the other one is like, I do not have to compare struggles to invalidate my own. It's like, I think that all the time, like, wow, the person's going through a lot. It's like, I should stop quote unquote complaining about my life and my feelings because people go through it worse than me. It's like, why does it have to be a competition? Like, everyone has their own struggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what resonated with me too, is I do not have to compare struggles to invalidate my own, and my feelings are real feelings, like those two together. Because as you guys know, I have a big comparison problem. It's the bane of my existence. And whether I want to or not, that's where my mind automatically goes, is comparison. So yeah, just remembering that everyone walks their own battles. It's not always apples to oranges, you know, um, and that what I'm feeling is real. It deserves to be felt, and I should not automatically clamp it down. And that those feelings are there for a reason, and I have to explore why they are there and honor them and respect them, as very valid and like very precious parts of me.
Yeah. Agreed. The other one is I deserve to be listened to. A lot of the time I'm like talking about, like, someone's like, how are you? And I start talking about how I really am. And then I'm like, oh, but you don't want to listen to this.
Yeah.
Well, why do you care? It's like, why would anyone care? But it's like, well, A, I should care. I should care. And then B, like, maybe that person is asking because they really do want to know how you are, because you deserve to be listened to. That's the other thing I go through a lot. It's like, why do my feelings matter? They do.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the way that the treatment we would readily give a friend or a loved one, we never give to ourselves, or we rarely give to ourselves. Like if a friend was like, oh, I'm going through a tough day, we would drop everything, like just to give them, I don't know, 2 hours or 3 hours of our time to listen to them, right? And give them like a shoulder to lean on. Or like if even something trivial, like if a friend is like, oh, I'm feeling really ugly today, like we would immediately counter that, right? And say, no, you're beautiful. So that kind of treatment we would so readily give our friends and loved ones. But if you think about it, do we give that to ourselves? If I know that I'm going through something, would I drop everything and give myself 2 or 3 hours to really like be with myself and give myself self-care? If I'm feeling ugly that day, what do I say to myself? I reinforce it most of the time. I'm like, oh yeah, you are. Yeah, like we don't treat ourselves the way that we treat our loved ones, and that needs to change.
Exactly. Yeah, we treat ourselves worse than we treat other people. Sometimes, like our own friends sometimes.
Right.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I agree with all these things. Yeah, any more comments on this page before I move on?
Actually, I just want to give a shout out. I just started listening to the podcast. I can't talk podcast. New Mindset Who Dis by.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Yeah, so he has this
Great.
whole episode about like he's such a dude.
He is, but like a very sincere,
like,
very sincere dude, though.
No, I love it. Just like a dude, DOOD dude.
No, he is. That's like the kind of guy I was like, yeah, right. What do you have to say? And then I started listening and like, you're actually a very, very genuine person.
Yeah, I love it. But anyway, he has this episode about like changing the way that we talk to ourselves to not be subtle. So like affirmations like I am enough or I am worthy. He was like, why don't we even push that more? Because we deserve more. Not I am enough, but I am more than enough. Not I am worthy, but I am the most worthy. I don't know if you heard that podcast, but I'm like, yeah, like because I used to say all those kinds of affirmations to myself, like I am enough. And while it feels good, it's like kind of still very passive. And I kind of like don't believe it. Whereas if I use stronger language, like I am more than enough, and it's true, I am not just enough, like enough by whose standards? I am more than enough,
Yeah.
And so really pushing that kind of self-talk to make it even more extreme in a way.
Yeah.
Just to like further prove to yourself, like, look, you're freaking like badass and you don't give yourself enough credit. And even when we do give ourselves credit, it's like so passive, like, oh, okay, you did a good enough job. Or okay, like, like sometimes even when we compliment ourselves, it's like so low, like low to what we deserve as like the badasses that we are.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear that one, but I agree.
It's good. It really resonated with me because I am a big fan of affirmations, but I never looked at them in that way before. So
I agree. I think I'm the same way. Like when I say stuff like I am enough, no, sometimes they work. Like I'm I'm not wrong, for example, the one my acting teacher says that works. But like I am enough sometimes doesn't work. And so I mean I don't go I am more than enough. I go I'm I'm a badass, like what you just said, or like I'm huge. Like I'm free. Like I would use words that actually are like what you said, the size. So there is something to that. I never thought of it that way, but that's what I end up doing as a workaround is that if an affirmation doesn't work. I mean, I feel like if you say the affirmation enough times, it will work. But if I needed like a quick, like I need to get out of this, I would say something like I'm a fucking badass, or like I'm fucking sexy. I mean, throw a fucking in there. That stuff works for me. I didn't think about the whole like I was just amplifying what I was already saying, but that's a good way to frame it.
Yeah. And like something that never goes wrong for me is, or a good reflection of what Case is his name, right? What Case is saying is that Winnie the Pooh quote, like you are braver than you think, stronger than you seem, and smarter than something like that. I think like I shared it with you, like something, you are more something than you think. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Winnie the Pooh quote. Yeah, here we go. Okay. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Right. And I love that because it's like taking it more like using that ER, like you are more X, Y, and Z than you think. Right. And I like that than you think part because that's like the self-limiting like cage that society and all of these other factors have placed upon us. And that's why we think that way. But then that like ER word that comes before is like your true self with an S. That's like reminding you, hey, you're actually, don't forget, you actually have all the power and you're probably just forgetting right now, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's like one specific part of that recommendations list for gaslighting that's what that reminded me of.
No, that makes sense. I'm trying to find this. That quote reminds me of another quote. I don't know if it's like one of the Roosevelts, but their quote is like, if you think you're right, you're right, or something. Like if you think you're wrong, you're wrong. If you think you're right, you're right. Do you know what I mean? I can't. It's
so it's about like trusting your gut instincts.
No, kind of. It's about like if you think what you're doing is right, you're gonna be right. But if you think like, oh no, is this right? Like, what am I doing? Is it gonna work? Then you're gonna end up doing something wrong. Like basically self-thought is very, very powerful.
Yeah. Oh, I like that's the book that I mentioned before that I was reading. I'm reading a book right now that's super like antiquated and it's kind of sexist in a way, but the core philosophies are good. It's Think and Grow Rich. It's like a book from the 60s. And there's a lot of talk in there about auto-suggestion. And that's what you were saying. Like,
I found
everything arises from a thought.
Yeah. It's a Henry Ford quote. It's Henry Ford. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what this book that I'm reading, Think and Grow Rich, auto-suggestion. That's what that's called. Everything arises from a thought. Everything that you manifest in reality comes from the thought that you... Thoughts are very powerful, basically.
Yeah, it's basically like, manifestation. But yeah, it's like if you think you can't do something, you're going to end up not doing that.
Yeah.
It's like visualization too. It's like if you envision yourself like actually successfully doing it, like if you envision yourself as like a sexy badass, you're a sexy badass. That's how you're going to carry yourself.
Yeah. And if you think about it, all of reality is perceived, right? Yeah. This reality that we have is only existing because we're perceiving it.
Yeah, it's like the glass half full, glass half empty.
Yeah.
Adage. Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, she said, practice recognizing when you have gaslit yourself Ask yourself where it has stemmed from and what you may be internalizing from toxic outside forces. Replacing these hurtful phrases with a self-affirming phrase is a way to combat self-gaslighting. So say them out loud, write them in your journal. Remember that self-affirmation can feel strange or false at first. We said that. It's like if you say like you are enough and it doesn't work, like just keep doing it. Or do the maximizing thing. It can feel strange or false at first, especially for someone who is so used to telling themselves the opposite. Yeah, exactly. And then she says, I love you. See, we should tell ourselves I love you. Yeah, it's practice because like it's habitual to give ourselves negative self-talk. So we got to make it habitual to give ourselves positive self-talk. So it makes sense that it's going to feel false at first, just like any habit you're starting. Like imagine like when you first started going to the gym, it felt horrible. Now it's second nature and you feel great.
Yeah. From a neurological point of view, like, because I was talking about how these negative behaviors are so automatic now, how regardless of what happens, I automatically suppress it or I automatically invalidate myself. The reason why it's automatic is those neural connections have been forged in my brain. And how does a neural connection become strong? If you repeat something over and over again, right? It's the same thing with all of our other habits. You know to brush your teeth before you go to bed because you do it every single night. And so in your brain, even if you're fucking drunk, like if you were still managed to brush your teeth, you know that the neural connection is strong, right? So all these little habits are strong because we repeat them over and over and over and over. And that goes for our thoughts, right? So if you, like our listeners, are wanting to change that, right? Like what this is saying, you know, to like those positive affirmations, it's going to feel weird at first because those neural connections may not even exist in your brain right now, right? And then when you start telling yourself those affirmations, they're going to be really weak connections, right? And then you, in order to make it as strong as those negative ones from before, you have to do it over and over again, even if it feels false, to the point that you will forge that neural connection. And then hopefully that other one, the negative one, will break. So it's like you're almost replacing those old ways of thinking. And this kind of relates back to this book that Uncle Stephen mentioned, Hardwiring Happiness. Hardwiring, meaning like the neuro aspect of just the way that we think and act. It's all down to like, if you want to look at it from a scientific point of view, that really helps me because it's a fact, right? Like I know if I do this enough, it is going to become a part of my psyche and it's going to become automatic. The same way that negative self-talk and self-gaslighting was automatic for so many years. You know, like it is possible to reverse that. You just have to put in the work.
Yeah, I agree. There's also like something to be said about, I want to keep quoting my acting teacher, but one common, I'm just going to give you guys an example. One common negative self-talk I often say, I told you this last night, is I'm small and unsexy. I don't know, like a variant of those two. It's like, oh, I'm small. Like no one cares what I have to say. I'm small, or like I'm invisible, or I'm not sexy. Like variants of like being not seen, like, or like being tiny, like a small presence. That's like a common refrain I tell myself. And remember I told you she was like, is there also a side of you that feels big? You know, like she always asks the opposite. And I go, actually, yeah, there's a part of me that feels huge. And then the more I told myself I'm huge or like I'm sexy, I started feeling that way, like what we were talking about. But the other things she said about that negative self-talk is she was asking me like, does it somehow feel comfortable when you tell yourself you're small? Like, just be honest with me. Is there a comfort there in constantly telling yourself you're small? Does it offer you some sort of comfort and protection? And I was like, yes, it's comfortable to be like, I am small, I am homey, I am not hot. Like there's a comfort there because I'm like, oh, then I don't have to try to break it. I don't have to try to be big because then I'm just reinforcing these things that I've always told myself. So it's easy, it's comfortable. And she was like, well, there's your answer. You have like what is, it goes in line with what you were saying. It's like, you have to work hard to make the other part comfortable. That's what she was telling me, which is why I think she knows all of these things, but not, you're not even mic'd now. It's like you're doing the other extreme.
She's pulling on a lot of like actual scientific and psychological theories that I've read in multiple places. Like I can cite 2 really good books right now. Number one, Teal Swan, like a really amazing spiritual teacher.
Yeah, told me about
something about like light after darkness. I forgot the title of the book, but she talks about beliefs. And I told you about this before, about like your belief is like a table, right?
Yeah, you
and the
did.
legs supporting your table are your beliefs. And there's a reason why you hold on to those beliefs, because they serve you somehow, even negative beliefs. There's always something that you cling to those beliefs because it's serving you in a way. And also You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Oh God.
She talks about this, about how even beliefs that seem negative, why are you holding on to them? Because they are serving you somehow. And you have to be brutally honest with yourself about why you are still holding on to those.
Exactly.
You know? So
yeah, accurate. Both really good recommendations. Those are my last words on that. I think we've talked about everything.
And I just want to like encourage our listeners. I mean, if this is sounding like a lot of time, like if this is something you want to do and you want to invest in yourself, but it's like, oh, it sounds like a lot of time to like journal about this and like write about this. Like, I mean, think about the time you spent on Instagram, like mindless scrolling or like watching TV or whatever. Not to shade on those things. I mean, we all need our Instagram time, right? But just like, can you allocate some of your time to yourself? And I know I mentioned this before in this podcast, like treating yourself like the biggest project, the most important project. Of all the projects in your life, you are the most important, and you deserve that time, that self-time and self-exploration and self-investment to be a bigger and better you, because ultimately it will influence all other aspects of your life, right? If you think about your life like a wheel, and this is again something I learned from AA, the center of the wheel is your spiritual fitness, and then all the spokes coming out of the wheel is like your job, your family, your relationships, etc. A lot of the times when we want to fix our life, we focus on the outward, the external spokes, right? Oh, my life sucks, I'm going to try to fix my relationship. My life sucks, I'm going to try to fix my career. But that doesn't solve anything, right? To fix all of those spokes at once, you have to address what's in the middle, and that's like your spiritual like fitness, like yourself with a capital S. And so I just really want to encourage our listeners, because I see it like working for me and for you too. Just the time, like even if it's just 5 minutes per day, 10 minutes per day, just to work on yourself is, I don't know. I really believe that it's going to make your life better, and you're going to make you happier, and the people that you come in contact with happier as well. So I just really believe that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not called work for nothing. Just saying. I mean, it's not gonna be easy. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Anywho, people like, okay, we're supposed to wrap up, but like, I talked to people who were like, oh, I have this thing about myself or this thing about myself. I'm just gonna be this way.
Yeah, like don't be passive about it.
I'm just like, why don't you try this or try that? And they're like, yeah, but it's like a lot of work. Well, it's a lot of work. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you.
You need to be a life coach and like talk to people.
I'm gonna be the worst life coach. Like, everyone's gonna fire me. But I'm just like,
no, maybe that's what some people need. Some people need that tough love.
No, and then whenever I tell that, they're like, oh yeah, and they walk away. I'm like, well, why'd you even come to me? And that's how we're ending that. I should have just let you have the final say. I don't know why I had to add that, but it just makes me so annoyed. I'm just like, I don't know why you want it to be easy. Like, I don't know why you expect it and want it to be easy. It's just not. Like, it's just not. Yeah. Like all other things in life.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, as much as I hate that saying, it's fucking true, dude.
Yeah. If something were easy to get, then no one would be, I don't know what I was trying to say, but like if you want to be happy, healthy, positive, it doesn't just come to you. Like it's not going to be served to you in a silver platter, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
I know what you're saying. It's like, why is there so much bad shit in the world? Because it's easier. Like the
yeah.
negative self-thought. It's just easier to just do a negative
And like you
self-talk.
said, it's in our system. It's the system of things.
Yeah, it's
And
hard because we're fighting against the system. We're all fighting
right.
against the system, both in the small scale and in the grand scale. Of course it's going to be hard. Um, okay, that's enough preaching. Don't laugh into your mic. You're gonna laugh away from your mic. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
I'm just smiling. I'm not laughing.
You laughed at me. Okay, now we're gonna take a break, and then when we get back, we're gonna do what we're loving this week. BRB.
All right. Hello. Welcome back. So we are going to do our beloved segment, what we're loving this week, because I know that was a lot of not heavy, but just some deep shit. So we're going to lighten it up with what we're loving.
Okay.
Do you want to go? That was the worst intro. Do you want to go first or?
Yeah, okay. I really like this show on Hulu called Taste the Nation. It's hosted by Padma Lakshmi. You might know her as the host of Top Chef. And okay, I was a huge fan of Anthony Bourdain. R.I.P. Rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain. And this is like the next best thing. You know how Anthony Bourdain like traveled for food, but really he was getting into the culture and the people and the conflict between cultures and like why it's there through like the facade of food. That's what Padma Lakshmi is doing. Like she gets to eat a lot of really great food, but she also asks really deep questions about the culture and like the people. And she does it in the United States. Like we need the show more than ever because there's just so much prejudice and judgment amongst different groups within our same country. And I really appreciate the show, and you get to just watch people eat. So it's amazing. It's such a good show, and it's a good follow up to Anthony Bourdain shows.
Is it on Netflix?
It's on Hulu. It's great. Oh, it's so good. It's like beyond. And like Anthony Zimmer, blah blah blah, like great. Like drivers, dine-ins, drive-ins, dives, great. But like those don't go underneath the surface for me. Like Tony Bourdain shows it, and she's like the next best thing, I think. And the other thing is, okay. So I said in the beginning I was going to talk about this, but there is this like random YouTube series by Insider called Pro Acting Coach Judges, and then like there's 3 so far. There's movie Screams, and then like movie Dying, like how actors like scream out of fear, how actors like die, and then how actors fall in love at first sight. And it sounds so lame, but these are actual acting coaches, and it's not just like how did they die, did it look convincing, but also like the acting technique. It's actually it's like those like acting coaches judge the accent, or like accent coaches judge people's accents, like in movies, like when you're trying a new accent. It's similar to that. And the reason the Twilight thing reminded me of it is because the latest one is like pro acting coach judges love at first sight scenes. And the one she hated the most was in Twilight when Bella, or whatever her name is.
Yeah, Bella.
Walks into the classroom, and the vampire, what's his name? Edward?
Yeah.
How do I remember their names? He looks at her and he goes,
he looks really cold. He's just kind of like shivering. Like
he shivered, and then he covered, and it's because like apparently because his fangs come out, but it looked like he was like disgusted by her smell. And then she's like, oh gosh, like she's like smelling her, like she's like, oh my god. And the acting teacher was like, I got no love from that scene. Like where is is this love at first sight? It's all I can see is that maybe he smelled, like, it's like really funny. But anyway, they're actually really good. You don't have to agree with all.
Sounds funny.
Like, It's the scream one is really good because like you can tell when someone's just screaming out of like just because the director was like, and scream here, make sure to scream here, and they're like, with dead eyes, like and then like an actor actually screaming out of like legit fear, like a specific fear that they're seeing and feeling, like a very like you can tell when something's specific. It's like different screams. So that was like really fascinating. It's not just like a surface level, like, oh, they screamed here. Oh, that looks good. That was a good
What is this? What is this channel called?
It's by Insider. Just look up Insider Pro Acting Coach, and then like they have 3 so far. I think they're gonna keep going. So they're so interesting and hilarious. There's like a lot. Every single one has a Nick Cage one because Nicolas Cage is so
I love him.
Excessive. There's one scene in the screaming one where like I don't know if you've seen the movie The Wicker Man, but
yeah, I've seen snippets of it.
Okay, you know that scene where they put like a basket of bees over his head, and like the bee starts swarming around his head, and he says lines like, "Oh no, the bees! My eyes! My eyes!" And the acting coach was like, "I love Nick Cage, but this is bad."
I love Nick Cage.
It's so bad. Anyway, oh yeah, I could watch Nick Cage clips all day.
Yeah, if no one has seen it, there's a 5-minute compilation video called
so good.
Nicolas Cage flipping a shit, and it's literally a 5-minute compilation of all the times that Nick Cage has flipped a shit in his movies, just in 5 minutes straight, and it's absolutely wonderful.
That's a gem of a video. I'll link it below too.
Yeah, can you please link it? I feel like everyone needs to watch that.
What a gem. Okay, it's your turn. That was mine.
Okay, so for mine, I'm actually gonna screen share a little bit, just because I want to show y'all. Where's the share screen? Oh, here it is. So I told you about this artist. Her name is I actually pulled up her name, Morgan Harper Nichols. And I've just been really loving her art. And you can find it on Pinterest. And I have it on my walls. I have it on my phone. But just like her style of art and what she does is she adds a quote to it. And it's a unique quote every time. And sometimes it's really poetic. Sometimes it's just whatever. But like, let me show you one just randomly. Like, I am worthy of the time it takes to do the things that heal my heart. Just like really healing, because I know we were talking about self-affirmations and self-compassion, but just like, I don't know, I love it. You know, like here, in the waiting, keep creating. Right? Let me just show one more. Here, this one's good. Find joy in the little things and hope in unexpected places. So just like really sweet little quotes, just little nuggets of joy. And I just love her style of art. I think it's really
I like them.
Beautiful.
Very calming and
exactly. That's how I feel. I feel calm, and I have it on my walls, and I encourage you guys, like if you're looking for something inspirational to put on your phone, or I don't know, self-affirmations. She's a really great artist. And I bought my artwork for my walls from Society 6. And I guess that's kind of like my tag-on recommendation is if you want to support artists and want to make sure that your money is going directly to them. Society 6 is great. They have a lot of like home goods, artworks, tapestries. They sell some furniture and plants and stuff, but it's mostly artwork. So that's where I bought my art instead of Amazon. I'm trying not to use Amazon anymore.
That's good.
But yeah, that's really it for me. I'm just really loving her stuff.
That's good. I'll check out Society 6.
Yeah, Society 6.
Society 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. Oh, did I tell you I'm watching Love is Blind?
Oh my god.
Ew. You know who I hate? I'm sorry, listeners. Just a quick.
Did you finish? Wait, did you finish it yet?
No, episode 7. But
dude, I will watch it with you. I will rewatch one. Yeah.
One episode.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh my god. Ew. You know who I hate is what's that girl's name?
Wait, let me guess. The one who's like an ex-army person.
Oh no, I mean I hate her, but at least she matches.
But she grows on you though.
Amber and Barnett match. At least they match, you know.
Amber
like,
is at least true to herself.
Yeah, at least she's not fucking like lying.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather someone be annoying and not lying than someone who's like, "Oh, babe, yeah, like I mean, I'm a babe." Yeah.
Everyone hates her, and she got a lot of heat for this show.
Yeah, but apparently he cheated. I looked it up. Like he was cheating on her during the show. He was sleeping with other people during the show.
Wait, the short guy?
Oh my God. I'm going to link some of these.
Sorry, listeners.
They're
Like,
on Instagram. I'm going to link some of those.
I like how you're not like now touching your hair, just like she is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm holding.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. What's her name?
I forgot, but we'll take this offline. But there's a really great parody video that someone did of her. It's
I
so
hate
funny.
her. She's like, oh my God, like Barnett, wait, did you mean what you said yesterday, Barnett?
And then she uses like this high pitched baby voice.
Yeah, like Barnett, like, okay, truth or dare? Truth. Did you mean what you said yesterday about like wanting to like marry me today? And he's like, oh, I don't know. What?
And then she keeps like flirting with Barnett, even though she's already.
Oh my God! And yeah, she's like, and then she's like, oh Barnett, hey, and then he's like, how's it going? How's it going with you and Mark?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mark is the short guy.
Mark, which now that I knew he cheated, like I'm really bummed. But in the show, I was like, dude, I'd marry that guy. But he would always keep going, I don't know, like he's obsessed with his mom and like blah blah blah. I'm like, you're the one who keeps bringing it up, dude. Like, and like the wine, the constant drunkenness.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I'm really excited to show you this parody video. You're gonna love it. Anyway, it's offline.
Okay, sorry. Moving on. Okay, so you don't have a quote, right? Because I found one.
No.
Okay, so Brené Brown is like really good friends with Elizabeth Gilbert, and Brené Brown posted this quote by Elizabeth Gilbert. And here's what it says. You are afraid of surrender because you don't want to lose control, but you never had control. All you had was anxiety. It's true. Control is not really control. It's like you're just giving yourself things to worry about. But once you surrender and go with the flow, things become easier. I think we also talked about this yesterday. So yeah, there's some food for thought for you. We're going to close it here because we were going to do a soft 60 and it's become a soft 75.
A hard longer. It's become harder and longer.
A hard 75. I don't even know what sex position a hard 75 would be. It's not sexy because like the 7 is like the other person like facing away with like bent over, and then the other person is like curled, like their legs are like the 5, the bottom of the 5, but they're also turned away. So it's like not sexy. It's like you're both turned away in different positions. So it's like a hard 75 is not sexy. You're probably both just masturbating on either side of the bed. Anywho, that was lovely. Unnecessary. Anywho, Meg, where can people find us?
So y'all can find us on the Instagrams. So our podcast Instagram is at Deep Convos Pod. Our email is deepconvospodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to reach us personally, I'm at meg.sales.14 and my sister is at Fran Sales.
Yay, you did it perfectly.
I know.
Wonderful.
All these years of practice.
All these years. Okay, well, it was great talking to everyone. We're going to talk to you next time.